So why don't you want to get the roles?
I'm gonna get the rolls, but I'm not gonna get the rolls yet because I was thinking about this the other day because it's such a nice car. I don't want to spend my time picking up crushed up goldfish and fucking juice bags and stuff out of the handcrafted leather seats in the back. So that'll be once the kids are in out of that phase. Is, is that? So you got to prioritize the goals as far as timing in there goes.
Probably a good call. So, Jeff Beggins, why do you love real estate?
What I liked about real estate originally is different than what I like about real estate now. What I liked about real estate originally was it was the most reasonable means to create income to fund a lifestyle that I was looking for. And that's all I cared about. Early 20s, show me the dough. How am I going to make some money? How am I going to get a nice car? How am I going to get a cool place to live? What kind of lifestyle am I going to travel? Right? And then you look at other options, and I didn't want to get a normal job, right? And I like sales, I like marketing, I love business. I've obviously had the influence with the family in the real estate business, even though family said, don't get into the real estate business. It's a crappy business to be in. Go do something else. You go into college, you get your degree, go do something else, right? And then you start looking around at what the something else is. And you're like, I don't really know if I like that something else. So while I figure out what my something else might be, let's go into real estate. Because it seems like you talk to people, you make money, right? So that was a simple equation. So more people you talk to, the more money you make. More people you talk to, the more money you make. And then I started learning more. Mike Ferry was one of the earliest influences on me in the real estate sector. And one of the things he always said, and that stuck in my mind, is you've got to do the boring things until the boring things lead to results that are exciting, right? So what are the boring things? The boring things are the non-exciting things, which is the banging on doors. It's the making the phone calls. It is the making the phone calls. It's banging on doors, making more phone calls, banging on doors. Glamorous? Nope. Exciting? Not really. A lot of work, a lot of rejection, a lot of what the hell am I doing this for? You bet, right? But as you start to realize that that's the way that the world works, you've got to talk to people. I don't care if you're selling hats or cars or burgers, right? You got to let people know you're in business. And if you can get that to happen, then it works. So that started for me to realize that, hey, this is a way that I can start making some money. And I'm looking around, I'm seeing people making $1 million a year and selling the same thing. They're just talking to people, finding out who's thinking about selling their house. And it became clear to me that if you're going to make some real money, you got to be focused on the listing side, all about the inventory, get the inventory, everybody else will bring the buyers to you. And it just kind of just snowball. And I started making phone calls and knocking on doors and for sale by owners and expireds and just listed and just sold calls, you know, the drill, over and 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 over. And then it became a kind of a passion. And I don't know exactly when I do know when it actually turned around, because I said, all right, I'm going to do this big time, because I went to shadow a guy, and he was literally sitting back in a chair reading a paper, and he had a computer making phone calls for him, and he was sitting there with his feet up reading paper, and the phone call machine would just answer. People would answer. Then he'd start a script saying, hey, this is Joe, and the reason I'm calling, blah, 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 the house for sale, blah, 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 interview people, blah, 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 did a script, right? Script. And he just sat there and kind of autopilot and just sat there and talked to people. He was the number one salesperson in the entire region. And I got a chance I just watched him for a day, and I'm sitting to myself going, what the fuck, right? This guy's making this much money, and this is what he's doing, right? So in a few hours a day, he just drills in the contacts, and then he goes on appointments. And then I got to go on an appointment and watch. This is what you say, and you just do the same thing over and over. So this is pretty cool. And then realize that it's a discipline, and then it becomes a sport. So I didn't have any money. I couldn't get a computer. So I started dialing phones, and he had a headset, and headsets are a better idea. So I bought a headset, and now I'm dialing a phone with a headset. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm only talking to 10, 15 people an hour. How do I raise my efficiency? Let's get another headset. Okay, so I got 2 phones going. And then so you got my efficiency up to about 35 people an hour. And then it started to become a sport. How many people can I talk with? How many appointments can I get? How many listings can I get? And then it became the passion. It became a sport And the sport was listening to the conversations that I was having. So the switch came while I was doing all this prospecting to realizing I was in the people and communications business and just dabbling in the industry of real estate, but it really was people and communications. So what I ended up doing was I had a recording jack, right, back in the day, right, from Radio Shack, and I'd plug in my little Plantronics headset into my recording jack that would go over to my recorder, and I would record both sides of my conversations, right? So I would have headset 1, headset 2, I'd be dialing manually off my directory list of people who lived in the neighborhood, and I'd just dial till they answered. I'd start my script, and then I'd start dialing until somebody else answered while I was still on the phone with these people. Then I'd hang up on them, knowing I had a live person. I was ready, then hit the redial button, and it would call back and say, hey, this is Jeff Beggins. Sorry, I think we got disconnected. The reason I'm calling is listed house out of an Oakview Lane, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, for $249. I was wondering who you know might be interested in moving into the area. When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived there? Where did you move from? How did you pick this area? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, how you doing? Jeff Beggins, Central. I'm just listening home in Oakview Lane. To start dialing. Frequency got up. And then I started about 3 hours a day dialing. And then in the evenings, 3 hours in the evenings, listening back. And that's when it all started to really change, because I started to pay attention to connections, communications. Why did that call go well? Why did they hang up on me? Why did that yell at me? Why did they yell? What was going on in their world? What did I miss, right? And that became the intrigue. That became the passion of how did I get that listing? It seemed effortless almost. That one I really had to work for. What was the difference? And I started to listen back to, what was it? And I made some notes. And was it tonality? Was it the energy? Was it the tempo? Was it the vocabulary? It was the connection. I noticed a lot of them naturally, I had something in common with those people, and the conversation kind of flowed. Other people, there was no natural connection, and it was awkward, and it just didn't go well, and they ended up being hung up on. So you start to say, okay, what was natural about that one? And you can kind of recreate what's natural and starting to connect with different people. So that's what became fun, because the one call would be with Myrtle, lady from Kentucky, who's a grandma, and she started doing the whole thing, and I had to relate and slow myself down and speak a little slower and clearer, because that's how she was communicating. And if I wanted to talk about that new property and how long she lived in this area, where did she move from, and where are your grandkids, and all that stuff would come. And then the next call would be Bob from New York. He didn't have a lot of time to talk. He didn't want to sell his house. He didn't want to hire an agent. Didn't want to do this. So I had to just jump into Bob's world and kind of have fun. Then the next call was somebody completely different. So it became a sport of kind of an act, right? Kind of a true passion of how do I connect with that person. So it became kind of it was exciting for me because it was passion. Like, who's going to be on the other side of this call, right? And action, right? And I realized that it's a little old lady from Kentucky. Cool. And the next one, what's he going to be? Oh, cool. Right? And so you just kind of go. And then I started repeating back and recording and replaying those conversations and started to see where's the connection really coming from. How did I connect with that one? And then more connections started happening a little better and deeper and faster. And the conversion rate started to increase. And the number of contacts to closing started to close that gap and became a lot more efficient, right? And effective. And it started to become a sport. So it started with the mundane calls, going through the motions, doing the boring things to the boring things led to results that are exciting. And then I was calling, I had pictures of a nice big boat and a nice new Hummer, a nice house on the water and a little beach house and cool vacations. And then you start noticing, and I was driving a Hummer and living on the water, living in tiki hut vacations in Belize and traveling around to Europe and stuff like that. I'm like, shit, this is exciting stuff, right? So that made it make sense and make it worthwhile to do that. So do I like real estate? I am so grateful for the industry of real estate to allow us to get the paychecks that we get to be able to do what's become a passion, right? So it is really, 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 we're very fortunate. And for those who haven't turned this into a passion sport yet, I beg you to start or get out, because if you don't, it's never going to work. It's going to be a superficial, surface level bullshit job for you, and you're never going to really do well until you uncover the passion. And the passion for me has evolved into helping you find that passion and start reaching out to people and really helping them, because as we say it all the time, this is the people and communications business. It's the people and communications business. It is not real estate. We happen to play and a high ticket item in an industry called real estate sales, right? Which is great because it's way better to sell something to make 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50,000 bucks a sale rather than something that you make $1.50, right? So we're smart to be in this industry because you get paid in direct proportion to the value you bring to other people. So what I urge you to do is change your thinking about what you actually do. Like, what business are you really in? And it is I hope it becomes a passion play of people communication, helping people. And people won't allow you to help them until they trust you. They won't trust you until they feel comfortable with you. They're not going to feel comfortable with you until you're connected with them. They're not going to connect with you unless you've actually given them a reason to connect. And that takes thoughtful intelligence, that mindful thought, going into neutral, breathing, understanding who your person that you're dealing with is, and actually bring them value. Right? Bring them value in a manner that they appreciate, that they like, that they respect, that they feel comfortable with, and then you're going to end up with a customer for life. And the lifetime value of that customer is $130,000. You tap into their sphere, their tribe, their family, and then you own them because all you've done is actually taken the time to appreciate them enough to pay attention to how they are, to relate the world to the way that they see it, whether they're D's, I's, or S's, or C's, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. What is their tempo, their vocabulary, their eye contact, their posture, their breathing patterns, their blink rates, all the other stuff that goes very deep to make sure that you can deliver that extraordinary experience, to make sure that they just love the experience of being with you. So, long-winded answer to a very simple question. Why do you love real estate? Because it is an evolved passion that is unlike anything else on the planet. And I really hope you are on the process of having this happen to you too. And if there's anything we can do, as always, let's see what we can do to help, because it's magical on this other side when it becomes a sport, a hobby, a passion, and it's just fun, guys. So hopefully that brought a little insight to you. Let me know what your thoughts are. Any more comments, things you want to go deeper on, and reach out if you need anything. So have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.